Well, hello, and welcome to the Building Business Podcast, powered by the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce. We are recording in the Charleston Media Solutions studios, huge supporters of the Chamber, so thank you for hosting us today. And of course, Mike, I'm still so excited to announce our podcast sponsor, Viking Mergers and Acquisitions. Thank you to them for sponsoring our podcast. They navigate the complexities of selling a business in our area.
Listen to you, Kathy.
I know, isn't that right? Well, yeah, I Googled it, but it sounds perfect, so we can tag that every time. Really, honestly, great guys. Our last podcast, if you didn't listen, was with Michael Purcell from Viking. So thank you to them for being the podcast sponsor. My name is Kathy Herman. I am a past president of the Mount Pleasant Chamber of Commerce. I am a current chair of the Rise Women in Business Committee, and I am also the marketing director for Mount Pleasant Town Center. My favorite co-host is back. I'm assuming, Mike, that nobody else wants to talk to me since you're here with me every week.
That's got to be it.
Every month, right?
That's got to be it. Yeah,
No,
I'm
no
the
more
only one who
volunteers?
can tolerate you.
Wow. That was lovely. Thank you.
I was your favorite.
You were my favorite. We'll see what happens next month. Anyway, Mike Compton, amazing guy, co-owner of Roomba Advertising, former chair of the Chamber Marketing Committee, and current president of the Charleston American Marketing Association.
Yeah, and my worlds are colliding today as I left the marketing chair of the Mount Pleasant Chamber to jump on the Harbor Entrepreneur Center chair, marketing chair. And our guest today is Mr. Grady Johnson, the executive director of the Harbor Entrepreneur Center. Say hello, Grady.
Hello, Grady.
This is going to be a fun one.
Did I get your title right? Did I get everything right there?
Yep.
What is the Harbor Entrepreneur Center, Grady, in your own words?
And we are a not-for-profit 501c3 located in beautiful downtown Mount Pleasant, South Carolina. And we have the mission of creating collision among entrepreneurs.
Wow.
And Mike, ask me what is collision?
What is collision, Grady?
You did that so well. Collision is when entrepreneurs come together. It's the term we use. When entrepreneurs come together, they collide and sparks fly. And being an entrepreneur is an extraordinarily lonely, frightening experience sometimes. It's both exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. And you really don't have anybody to talk to as another entrepreneur. And so when you meet up with another entrepreneur, you just immediately form that bond of shared experiences and begin trading war stories, information, contacts, and over time, repeated collisions with entrepreneurs. You develop some very deep relationships that begin to turn from sort of banter into what I'll call peer-to-peer advisory. And so over time, those collisions create a network of trusted advisors.
And what is our original story? Like, how did the Harbor Entrepreneur Center, how to get started, picking Mount Pleasant, all that?
Yeah, there's really nobody to talk to, and so the origin of it was Mount Pleasant was back in this would have been 13, 14 years ago, was trying to figure out how to do some kind of startup incubator or whatever. And then some other of the entrepreneurs around town were also thinking along the same lines because they didn't have anybody to talk to. And then they came together with this idea of creating an entrepreneur center after going up to Nashville, Tennessee, which has a really great entrepreneur center up there, and it's a sort of the model that was brought back here to Mount Pleasant and started in Mount Pleasant.
So, excuse my ignorance. Who does somebody own it?
No, we're a 501c.
Okay.
So nope. We got a board of directors and little old me.
Little old you.
Yeah,
and so
right.
what does little old you's day-to-day look like as an executive
Well, let's
director?
see. Yesterday I was repairing some holes in the sheetrock. today I was fixing a lock on a door, and then I'm mentoring entrepreneurs. I have an open door in my office, so it's an open door policy to come in and when the doctor is in, and so I provide as much support as I can on a variety of things that entrepreneurs need, anywhere from the who do you know contacts to somebody's got some HR or just sort of having a bluesy day and just need somebody to talk to.
Talk about, first of all, what's our.com?
We are harborec.org.
So listeners, while we're talking about this, please go there. Don't judge the website too much because we're relaunching a new website here coming up in May. But my point is I want to talk about the different programs and how people can get involved in the harbor.
Sure. I mean, at the very least is just come over and hang out.
You can just literally show up.
You can just show up and, then the next level is, joining, looking on our website and coming to the happy hours, and begin, just networking around like you would at any other business event. Then there's an opportunity to rent some space within the harbor. And
so boardrooms, or you can be a resident of the harbor, right?
Correct.
There's different levels of residency.
Yeah, anywhere from just a splash down desk to come in and sit in any available space, all the way up to suites,
right?
Private suites, and then there's programming that you can join. I mean, there's a ton of programming that we do. We're supporting very early age startups, founders who are trying to figure out what they want to do, and so we've got a program for it's a workshop, and it's in the evening, so it's think of it as night school for
Sure.
startup founders.
Okay.
So
the Accelerator Program.
No, this is a startup. This is a startup workshop, and it basically you bring your idea and then it's a facilitated group discussion, and at the end of it's once a month. At the end of I think it's a 4-month long program. At the end of those 4 months, you should have a very good idea of whether you want to proceed with your idea, pivot from that idea to something else, or go back to your day job.
I love that.
Yeah.
What's that called, by the way? What's that program called?
That's a startup workshop.
Let me put that down.
And then I wrote you a note in the shared document about that yesterday. There, Mikey boy.
I have the note. It's called Forum.
No,
it's
the other thing. You're getting ahead of me now.
But go ahead.
So
keep talking.
Yes, yeah. So wait, this interview is over now.
We'll talk about how beautiful this building is.
Yeah, we'll get
in
to
a
that
minute.
in a minute.
But these are the different. Great
let me
programs.
answer your question. Now chill back. So the next step is we're doing a startup boot camp. That will be in the early late summer this year. We'll do that, and that's a very intentional 2-day program where you bring that idea that you decided to proceed on out of your startup workshop. You could bring that into the boot camp, or you can bring your own idea from elsewhere, and that program will then put you through the paces of getting that idea to market. And that's a very important step, because you need to get out and begin doing customer discovery, talking to potential customers, et cetera, so that as a startup, you really have an understanding of what it is you're starting, how you're starting it, will people actually pay you for it, which is sort of important.
I just want to clarify. So if I was an entrepreneur, but I'm not renting space with you, or I've not taken any of your programs, I can still go to your happy hours?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so it's just free, it's open to. I'm not sure that is very clear, because to me it seemed like a group. It seemed like
we're working on that. Yeah, that's exactly
marketing,
what we're working
right?
on. This is
Okay.
This is part of what this conversation is all about.
Exactly, and that's great. So I mean, anyone who's listening, if you thought you had to be renting space there or be a member, You don't. Just if you find a date that works for you, head on over there.
We do want you to register.
Well, okay, that's good to know.
I mean, there's
Registration is
that.
good, yeah.
We just need a head count
Yeah.
to make sure that we've got enough food and beverage.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, we're doing
Yeah.
Cinco de Mayo with the chamber, the Mount Pleasant Chamber, which was a hoot last year. So we decided to do it again this year. So it was a lot of fun.
So that's the epitome of collision right there.
We're colliding.
Right? Mount
Yeah.
Pleasant Chamber, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
We're colliding.
It's all good. Keep going. I keep.
Yeah, you keep interrupting.
I like
I don't know what the heck
I do
kind of
like it.
interview
Keep
this
going.
is. This is like an interruption interview. So let's see. I was at startup boot camp. So you'll come out of the boot camp with a clearly defined path to market, which is important. And then the next level up from that is our Accelerator Program, which has been the main program that the Harbor's been running for 12 or more years, and that's where we bring these young companies in who have already got some small measure of traction in the marketplace, and this is a 16-week course twice a week, led by our Harbor mentors, and the whole idea is to accelerate that company from its very early stages into self-sufficiency, and there's a path that sort of splits off from that. Some kinds of businesses are going to need outside equity investment. And so we focus on the pitch. I'm sure everybody's seen the Shark Tank sort of thingy. Ours, it's different because we're not on TV.
Right, and it's friendly. It's not
yeah,
too
and
sharp.
I mean that's somewhat manufactured,
Right.
in my view. But this is getting these young companies ready to pitch for equity investment, and it's a super program. We're really proud of it. This past year we had over 50 applicants, and then our mentor team had narrowed them down to 28 companies, I believe it was, that pitched for acceptance into the program, and then we accepted 12 into the program. We're really excited about the 12 we've got now, and a lot of success stories coming out of there where companies get follow-on investment and hit the ground running. So it's a really satisfying thing to watch these young companies come in. I mean, if you think about the beginning, the tip of this pipeline, where somebody's trying to figure out, do I quit my day job in a couple of years to see them come out the other side of this thing with a viable company, and now they're employing people, and it's pretty cool.
It's awesome. I mean, we're building an ecosystem within Mount Pleasant, which is great.
Yeah.
And talk about the ecosystem within the building, and talk about the building itself. It's an amazing success story alone, right?
Yeah, we are in a 64,000 square foot building in Mount Pleasant, and we have currently 133 companies in residence. And that makes us the third largest entrepreneur center in the Southeast and one of the top 10 largest in the nation. So just for that being in my little old hometown of Mount Pleasant, that's quite a feather in the cap for not just Mount Pleasant, but the Charleston region. It really puts us on the national map as a place for people to come and start a business and grow a business, and to have a resource like the Entrepreneur Center available to not just new entrepreneurs, but what we see a lot are serial entrepreneurs who've exited multiple times, and they're looking for a community to come. They mostly choose the community first, and then look around, going, okay, where am I going to start a business? What am I going to do? And because they have the wherewithal to do that, we see that demographic quite a bit, and they get in touch with the Entrepreneur Center and find themselves a home where they can surround themselves with what I was describing before, is that peer-to-peer advisory, and then they're off to the races again with another company.
Yeah, it's awesome to see. And listeners, just so you know the address if you wanted to Google it, where this is, because it's a funky spot, and it's on a big plot of land too.
21 acres.
21 acre land in Mount Pleasant. I mean, this is amazing. So it's 11 Ewall Street, Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, 29464. And there's a gym in the building. I mean, and there's these beautiful offices. There's quads available, right? In the building.
Private suites we call quads because they have 4 private offices within the private office, which is very, very unique, especially if you got somebody who's on the phone all the time and they can get in their own private space and shut the door and bang the phones.
Right, and then there's boardrooms that you can.
There's 11 conference rooms, Mike.
11 conference rooms, and they're all shapes and sizes too.
All shapes, anywhere from 4 people up to a classroom that'll hold 35.
And what do those cost if you're resident?
0. Comes with the rent.
Comes with the rent.
I think someone's doing marketing for the harbor. No.
Well, right.
Just saying.
I mean,
Just
we're here,
saying.
right? You can jump in anytime, Gabby.
You know what, Mike? You got it. We're going. I'm just going to listen to you two talk today.
Bring it on. If I don't know the answer, I'll make it up.
Right.
How much does it cost for non-residents?
Oh, see, I'm not the only one here, Kathy.
$1 million.
$1 million for non-residents to come.
We've got each conference room is priced per size of room per hour. So you could come in if you needed to. Just look us up on the web. If you've got a remote meeting, it's a super cool setting. Anywhere from formal boardrooms to classrooms, and we allow outside catering, so it's not like you're stuck using an in-house caterer. You can bring lunches in or whatever. We got the campus that you can. A lot of outdoor meetings this time of year are super nice. I see a lot of groups doing, take it outside for an hour and do a standing meeting out in the garden. So it's a really sort of a corporate retreat kind of setting, Mike. Don't you think? I mean, don't you think with the acreage around it and
great corporate retreat. Let's get back into business, though, shall we, Kathy?
Who was the first tenant?
That's super interesting.
Who built it, right? So are you talking about who built the building, or
No,
who was the
first entrepreneur to
come into
Yes.
11 E Wall Street?
Yes.
That would be, I believe it was Trio Marketing.
Was it Trio?
Oh, we know our friends at Trio. Jenny was a guest here on our podcast.
Jenny and Jess came down and took a look at it and were like, oh my God.
And they're still there.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're.
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Oh yeah. They're in the new Shellwind too.
But it's like a Roach Motel. Once you come in, you can't leave.
It is not like a
Hotel
Roach
California.
Motel.
It's like Hotel California. Hotel Carolina.
So Grady, what makes you think of Mount Pleasant? Obviously, Mount Pleasant is growing like you said, every day like weeds. It's crazy. It's become a real hot spot for entrepreneurship. Why do you think?
Well, I think starting out, it's a really nice place to live. I've been in Mount Pleasant my whole life.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm as local as you can get. And so my little hometown, I've seen it grown from, I don't know, it was like 15,000 people when I was a little kid. It was just a sleepy fishing village with dirt roads everywhere, to what you see now. But it still remains, I was talking with Mayor Haney the other day, it still remains a small town, even though, there's this layer of traffic over the top of it that's, a lot of it is, tourist traffic, people just coming into town for tourist reasons. But if you're living in the neighborhoods, it's still the same kind of feeling. The neighborhoods are really cool. And so, and the schools are great. Proximity to the beaches and things like that. So it's just a really great place to live. And I think, what's really changed a lot, and especially because of the way the internet has opened up remote working possibilities, there are just a lot more choices for people to be able to live where they want to and do the thing, to have their job. You see a lot less people moving somewhere because of a job. You can kind of now either take your job with you when you move or go somewhere and find a job. And Mount Pleasant just offers that as an attraction. And then the second layer of that is, I'll we'll take some credit for it from the entrepreneur side of things, entrepreneur center side of things. We've just got a place now where you can go to get some support that you would never be able to find anywhere else. You wouldn't be able to, with the kind of expertise that's within our mentor group and within the building just as fellow residents, you could never afford it. If you hired outside consultants, and anyone could take advantage of that, whether it's an experienced entrepreneur or somebody just trying to figure out, do they want to be an entrepreneur? There's a lot of that peer-to-peer support, and I think you add those two things together, and it's like gas in a match, and so I think that's really what's going on.
I had challenged Mayor Haney one time on the podcast with Kathy. Maybe it was a couple years ago. I'm like, when do we become a city here, Mayor? When does the town of Mount Pleasant really?
When we get a
become
full-time
city
mayor
of Mount Pleasant. And he's like, no, we don't want that feel. We want the town. We want that feeling of the town. We want that. We don't be called a town, even if we're. I'm like, so the population doesn't matter. We can just call ourselves whatever we want. He's like, yeah, like I love it. Okay, I'm on board.
I mean, just the. I'll give the town of Mount Pleasant a plug here, but the
plug away.
The services that the town provides, the people who provide those services is unbelievable. Like the person who collects the garbage where I live. He knows my mom. My mom is still in her house. She's in her late 90s now. My mom knows him. He knows her. If she forgets to put her, or if I forget to put her trash can out, he goes around and gets it. Just that level of support, or if you've ever had anything go wrong with your sewage or sewers, the guys that come out to fix that, super nice. I mean, it's just, you don't find that, you really don't find that anywhere else that I could, of a city of this size now, or town of this size now. And I think that's, Mayor Haney and others, with him, now and before him, have managed to attract and keep those kind of people as town employees. We know our mailman,
Yeah.
You know your mailman? I know you know what I mean?
No, my mailman is a jerk. Zero eye contact with that guy.
I'm not a fan of mine either.
Zero eye contact.
Send yours our way, okay?
In our neighborhood, Chuck comes around, we check in on him, he checks in on us. Anyway.
But there were also, going back to the town of Mount Pleasant, to keep a little bit talking about them, but because we're in the Mount Pleasant Chamber too, and the Mount Pleasant Chamber also to develop the support that the businesses have. Mm-hmm. The Mount Pleasant Chamber is a partner with the town of Mount Pleasant on purpose, and so is the harbor, right? Mm-hmm. So it's all about developing this ecosystem of sources that we can create businesses here.
Yeah, I think it takes it takes us all, right? And you can't really put your finger on what any one business or one founder of a business might need at any given time. So all of those choices, like a buffet, have to be available for when that need arises. And I think we're really seeing the development of a true ecosystem now, because we are regionally beginning to collaborate much more intentionally, and us participants in the entrepreneurial support system are much more intentionally collaborating. It in years, let's just call it 5 years ago, and certainly 10 years ago, everybody was operating in their own little silos, and it's beginning to break down now. And I think in some really positive ways. We finally got a shared event calendar, Mike. That's been a dream of those of us who've been serving the business community. As I did in my former company, we were just always lamenting the fact that, gosh, if you want to host an event, you got to go find 10, 15 different websites and see if they're having an event on that date or whatever. And so just that shared calendar, people coming together over during events like Dig South. and just the communication around hey, what are you guys doing? Where are the gaps? I think what's really interesting is those of us in entrepreneurial support organizations are now beginning to have conversations about where are the gaps. It's less about, hey, what are you doing so that I can, so everybody stays in their lane. It's more like, what are you doing? What am I doing? And what isn't being done? And who's best equipped to handle that? And those are really productive conversations.
What can the chamber do to help the harbor?
I think with the chamber and the harbor, just that sort of cross-referencing, being able to refer people who have the needs that the harbor can help provide, and that's certainly expertise in things like investment, equity investment, and product market fit, and peer-to-peer advisory at that higher level. And then, we run into folks all the time who need to be chamber members for what the chamber does, and we always refer them over, like, you go join the chamber, and because that's the kind of help that you can get. So one doesn't mutually exclude the other. They're actually the two organizations work quite well together because of there's a little bit of overlap, but it's not,
It's fine.
It's not much. And certainly philosophically, we are very aligned on we just want successful business people, happy successful business people.
Is there are there any mistakes that founders make consistently that you could share with our listeners who are looking to open or start their own business so they don't make those mistakes?
These businesses don't have to be tech businesses either. These businesses can be anything.
Anything,
I just
yeah.
wanted to listen to our cheerleaders. We're just not tech.
I mean, I'll answer that question in a second, but I'll set the stage for that. In that, what makes an entrepreneur is an extremely high tolerance for risk, and to go along with that high tolerance for risk is an overconfidence in one's ability to solve problems, and that's really what if I could put my finger on what unites us all as entrepreneurs is we're all crazy in that way, and the upside of that is that's who takes the risk to start companies, because it's extraordinarily risky. And we've all done this before. In some cases, for many of us, it's been a bet the farm kind of thing. And the upside is that's the kind of people you need to start businesses. Anyone who is just looking for low risk, not a lot of danger, not a lot of work, probably isn't going to start a company or succeed. The downside is you can be way overconfident in what you can achieve. And to answer your question, Kathy, the one thing I see all the time is entrepreneurs sort of blowing past the "will anybody buy this" question, because it's something they believe in so fervently.
Right.
I mean, they're just like, man, they got the bit in their teeth, and by golly, purple dentures are going to sell, and
But they don't ask themselves, who's going to buy purple dentures?
Right. Well,
okay.
no. The worst thing is they don't ask anybody else.
Right.
And so,
Okay.
so the major flaw is not doing enough customer discovery before going all in. And we really see this a lot in, I see it in two places. One, in the retail space, where somebody just goes, I'm going to, remember that Saturday Night Live thing where it was the Scotch tape store in the mall that nobody was going to? You remember that? Oh, you're too young. Never mind. But anyway, open a retail store, go rent that real estate, get on the hook for 5-year lease or whatever, stock that store up with all the stuff that, man, this is the coolest stuff, and nobody buys it, right? And or not enough people buy it. Maybe a better way of saying that. Right. And it's just a slow, miserable death, right? And then on the tech side, see a lot of technical founders spending an incredible amount of nerd time and money building software because they can, and they know how to do it, and the software works, beautifully but it's not really solving a problem that anyone else has. It's just that technical founder is so into the build, the craft of that build, the difficulty, the complexity, put a ton of time in it, and then now what? And it's heartbreaking to see both of those things happen. And so it's really important to have outside advisors and a advisor group build that around yourself before starting any of these endeavors, and have people that you trust but who are not going to tell you yes all the time, who are going to push you to go, are you sure? Who said? Ask those hard questions of you to make sure you're doing what most people don't really want to do, which is customer discovery, market, product fit, and because the idea is so cool, man, and I'm so into it, and this is going to be the best thing in the world, and I really don't want to hear anybody tell me no. I don't want to hear that. It's unpleasant. I want to just stay in my little happy place, and because I'm starting this company, it's so exciting. And then, so you spend all that time, money, effort, get the thing up and running. Nobody buys it, and it's more horrible to go down in flames than it is to get the no very, very early on. Because that doesn't mean you can't launch a business. It just means keep pivoting until you find something that people will spend money on. Because if you really, really want to have a store, you'd probably be a great operator of a retail store. It's just maybe you tweak the theme, the merchandise, the whatever in a different way.
Well, in my history, I've worked in shopping centers my entire career, and trust me, I have seen.
Oh, you've seen that? That's right.
I have seen many a store of not necessarily here, but in my other shopping centers of. I remember seeing the lease and going, what?
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that's going to work here in this market? You're all crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen them open and I've seen them close in as least as 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't make the business work.
My first business here in Mount Pleasant was a retail store, so I can speak into that.
No kidding.
Good times.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of trends are you watching closely right now? I'm taking one of Kathy's.
Well,
questions.
I mean, it was a trend a couple of months ago, but now it's just an absolute full-on freight train, and that's AI. And
yeah, sure.
Artificial intelligence is moving things. The pace is extraordinarily rapid, and it's transformed the speed to market. If you've got an idea, especially on the technology side, it used to be we would be advising someone that they've got to get it all buttoned up and get the thing to market in 6 to 9 months, and that's compressed now, and sometimes in a matter of weeks. And the ability for some of these engines like AI engines like Claude or ChatGPT to help people quote vibe code, it is just unleashing so much potential, and it's a matter of quickly adopting to that and using that as a tool, and learning to use it as a tool. Get it integrated into your business plan as fundamentally as you can, and not use it as a periphery thing, but it's sort of an AI first business that that I think that's where things are going. And I I'm an old guy, so I saw this before with desktop publishing. I mean, I remember when, if you wanted to write something, you had to really want it because you were using a typewriter and paper, and if you made a mistake, you threw the whole thing away and started over, or use that cheesy whiteout stuff, or whatever, and but all of a sudden, along came word processing, and it completely transformed the written word, and not long behind that came desktop publishing, and that was transformational because now you could go digital, straight digital to print. When we first got into our media business years and years ago, I mean, we were still doing those big giant spreads where you tape the stuff up on the, remember those things, right? Yeah, we were still, laying out those things upside down, backwards through sheets of transparency, and so I saw all of that happen, and I saw how, it used to be that you were super excited that you could use Word. Now AI is blowing past all of that kind of stuff, and so that's really what we're seeing, and this agentive AI stuff is transformational, and it's happening so rapidly. You got to jump on that train, learn to use those tools, because it's gonna if you don't, it pass you by fast.
For sure.
Has AI negatively impacted any of your current?
Well,
partners?
what I do have a concern is there are a lot of entry level jobs that are no longer available. And
I agree.
I feel really concerned about how companies are going to have people coming up in their ranks for when the generation that is currently in the chairs begin to retire and age out, because what those entry-level jobs did was a lot of the grunt work, and that repetitive, whether it was data entry, or if you were an accounting firm, if you were working on spreadsheets, or whatever it might be, you learn the craft. And not only did you learn the craft, but you also learned how to be an employee. Mm-hmm. You learn that skill. You learn how to say yes and smile, even though you hated the job. Whatever you're doing. Oh, yeah. You might not hate the job, but you hated the task.
Came up the ranks.
You were assigned. You know what I mean? You just had to grind it out, and you learned all of those kinds of skills. AI does all of that stuff. 10 times faster and cheerfully and 24/7, and so a lot of these entry-level tasks and jobs are going to be taken over by AI. It doesn't mean that there won't be other AI-enabled entry-level jobs. It's just that the mass of them is seeming to go away, and I have great concern for this generation of college kids as they're getting out, or high school kids coming out. A lot of those opportunities are not there, and so I think that's we have to figure that out, right? I mean, I think in the service businesses, if you're actually doing something, especially the hands-on kind of jobs, AI is not going to do that, but on the quote white collar side, office style jobs, there's a lot of those entry level jobs that AI is just going to do better, faster, and I don't blame the employers for switching to it, because you gotta. I just said everybody's got to get on the train, right? I do have those concerns.
I read a very interesting article not that long ago about something very similar that you said, Grady, but that a lot of high school kids are now opting not to go to college, and they are which is. It's fine. Who cares? But going into the policemen, firemen, plumbers, electricians, painter, like anything, and first of all, they're being extremely successful, but they realize that these are things that cannot be replaced by a computer or a software or anything. So when I'm talking to people I love about what they want to do with their lives, That's always been a concern of mine as well. Is like, guys, just think about it. Can AI replace it? Can replace you at any time? And if they can, you might want to think about something else.
Well, I mean, that's why we like to have school groups coming to the Entrepreneur Center, because one of the things that AI can't do is start companies. And so if you're a young person, high school graduate, college graduate, college age person, AI cannot think and create. It can only repurpose all of the data that's been put into it, and so it can't think up innovation the way that humans can.
Yet.
You could, you could feed
I say that jokingly,
like, hey, AI, think of something innovative, and it probably could, but no, who's going to buy it, right? So it does offer an opportunity. If you think about the ability, a barrier to founding a technology company was always the coding. That was your most precious resource, and you had to do so much work in advance to make sure that the stage was set before you got the coders involved, because those. Just your typical dev team, maybe 2 or 3 junior level coders, a mid-level coder, and a lead. You're probably talking $500,000 a year salaries for that team. Yeah. And to do it prior to when AI came along, that's your typical build, 6 months to a year kind of thing. So it was a huge barrier to entry for anybody with a tech idea. Now with AI doing the coding, you could get to market in 2 weeks with that idea like do it yourself kind of thing, right? And so it has opened up the opportunities for people with great ideas that don't have the coding skills to get to market with an MVP. You'd still need to hire the pros to get something to enterprise level, but to do what I'm saying in answering the question, previously about what mistakes do founders make, you could easily get something to market. Go around, talk. You've got the idea that you're going to do X. Go around, talk to 10 people, probably all you need to say, hey, if I could provide something that did X for you, would you pay for it? And if they said yes, you could at night or during the day at your desk, you could quote vibe code most of that, come back to them with an MVP, going, okay, here it is. Would you pay me whatever, $25 a month or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And they could say yes, and then you're off the races. You got a business,
right?
And so it does. It does, I think, on the other side of this coin, present some really exciting opportunities for some young entrepreneurs who maybe never would have been able to get into to owning their own business. It's still it's still horrendously difficult to go from what I just described to full-fledged launch business kind of thing. But the barriers to entry have been lowered so far down that, to Kathy's point, you don't really, you may not need a computer science degree anymore like in years past you would have had to go get.
Mm-hmm. We only got a couple more minutes, but can you talk about Harbor Forge?
So we're doing that. What I just described. We're using our expertise in evaluating business models and go-to-market opportunities, and we're helping people with what we just described. We're doing that ourselves and making that as a product available. Our difference is that. We're using a deep bench of expertise so that we're making sure that what someone needs to build, we're vetting that for them before they're going to the build. And it's anywhere from somebody who wants to launch something new to there's all these, if you're operating a business now, you've probably got a lot of inefficiencies in your business that you've been putting up with forever, just because that's the way you do things. And maybe you're keeping something in a spreadsheet over here. Maybe you've got an accounting system over here. You got a CRM, customer relationship management system over here. You've got some other inventory system, whatever it might be, and they're all separate systems. And so using our Harbor Forge team, we can quickly build some software that connects all of those things together, increases efficiencies, and frees up some staff time for not doing that grunt work and doing some thinking. You kind of level up an employee.
That's crazy. So one stop, you got everything at the Harbor. If you
it.
have an idea, you're an entrepreneur. Even if you don't have an idea and want to be an entrepreneur,
Yep.
still a resource.
Yep.
Yeah, I
Kathy,
want to ask some fun questions
please do.
before we let you go. Is that okay?
Yes.
What would you suggest as the best book for entrepreneurs to read?
I'm an old school guy, but I love Good to Great.
Okay.
Good to Great.
Write that down, everybody. Good to great. That's awesome. One habit that every founder should build.
Networking.
I'm good at that.
Network.
I agree, and we have so many opportunities.
Yeah, the chamber. I mean, the chamber. That's
Chamber and the
really
Harbor,
where
yeah.
the chamber can help.
Yeah, that's right.
Go to Mayo,
Put
baby.
that on your calendar. The biggest red flag in a business pitch.
Crazy revenue projections.
Oh, that's right. I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
right, because the person who's selling the purple dentures thinks that he's going to be a gazillionaire.
Yeah,
right?
and I do that all the time myself, so I see it. Takes one to know one. So yeah.
Coffee meetings or Zoom calls?
Coffee.
No.
Yeah,
I should have known the answer to that
I am.
already.
Yeah, I'm old school, man. It's all this technology-enabled stuff. I swear, person-to-person interaction smokes it every time.
I agree. I think anyone who was around in 2020 and had to exchange life for Zoom calls prefers
hated
to
it.
never get on a Zoom call again.
I hated it.
All right, and our last question: most underrated business skill.
Underrated business skill, I think, is accounting.
Like math or just counting?
Accounting.
Accounting.
Accounting. Yeah.
Accounting. You apparently suck at it because you don't even know the word.
It's true. How did you know?
I mean, most entrepreneurs, I mean, myself included, we hate that stuff, right? But you will get absolutely creamed if you don't understand accounting and you don't understand, how to look at those numbers. And I can speak from experience.
That's awesome. I remind our listeners again, Grady, about how to get information.
So go to harborec.org. And that's how you find us. And I also want to give a shout out to our support, our sponsors, Town of Mount Pleasant, the SCRA, South Carolina Research Authority, Charleston County Economic Development, and all of our corporate sponsors and donors, because we are a not-for-profit and we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the support of those folks. And thank you to the Mount Pleasant Chamber for having me on the show.
That's awesome. Well, if you have not been there, you have got to go. I highly suggest, if you cannot make the May 5th Cinco de Mayo event that is going to be co-hosted with the Chamber, check out the calendar of events on the website and just RSVP or register for at happy hour or some kind of and they're there for you, and you don't have to be a member of the center. So that's good to know. I think it was really important. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Grady. We really appreciate everything you're doing for the town, for our businesses. I think it's really wonderful.
Thank you.
Great work.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Before we leave, we need to once again thank our amazing sponsor, Viking Mergers and Acquisitions. You can visit them at vikingmergers.com. And of course, our recording partner here at Charleston Media Solutions.
What?
Yeah, they're the best, man.
You're the best.
If you would like to be a guest on our show, you could reach out to the Chamber directly. We'll get back to you. Be sure to like and subscribe all of our media channels, Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, right? Did I get them
Yeah,
all?
we're on all the
Fabulous.
socials, thanks to ABC.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all Mike. It's all
Social
Mike's
ABC.
doing. That's
No,
awesome.
I'm not there anymore. Remember, I'm not
That's
the
true.
marketing person
That's true.
anymore.
That's
It's
true.
Darius.
Darius.
Kelly
Yes.
and Amanda Bunting Coleman. And,
Yes.
And that team over there. You got a great marketing team.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Thanks again, Grady.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Grady, thank you again.
Yeah,
Look forward to continue working and partnering with you on events throughout the year. Thank you for being with us today, everyone. Until next time, Mount Pleasant. Until next time, listeners.